Welcome to Leading League City. I'm Christy Wyatt, and I'm joined by our mayor and manager, and this is a show to help you get to know about the issues that League City residents and our community face. First, I'd like to welcome our mayor, Tim Paulison, and also our city manager, Rich Aller. Now, both of you are new to your positions. Mayor, you've just been serving a couple of months, and Rich, you've just been appointed to this position. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're transitioning into your new role and where you see League City going? Let's start with you, Mayor.
The transition's gone very smoothly. It was kind of rocky at the start. Once me and Rich were able to sit down and talk about what our visions were, I think there was a lot of common ground.
And where do you see the city going?
Right now, our main focus is just to provide essential city services to our residents at an affordable price. The main issue that we are facing right now is our water structure. We're taxing it to the very nth degree, and with our current drought situation, it's not helping the situation. I do want to say that I've made this statement many times. Our residents have been extremely patient with us over the summer, specifically in reference to their landscaping in their yards, and I want to assure them that the city is doing everything we can to meet the demands of their water needs within the next 2 years. We should have a substantial hold on addressing their needs. Long term, we have to address getting essential services, and water is probably the most important thing at this point in the game.
And I want to talk a little bit more about the water situation, but first I want to talk to you, Rich. You were our Director of Public Works, Assistant City Manager of Public Works actually, and now you've transitioned into Acting City Manager role. Can you tell us a little bit how that transition's been for you and where you see League City going?
Sure. Transition's been really easy. The staff has really made it very conducive for me to move into this new position. I've really enjoyed working with Tim. We certainly have a lot of the same ideas for this city and where we'd like to go. Council's been good to work with. So the transition overall has been, I think, very smooth, and I'm happy in this position, filling this role.
And where do you see League City going under your leadership?
League City's got so much potential. One of the things that I saw when I first came here was this is really a unique city, with I-45 bisecting this city, having water frontage, having some of the harbors within the city. It is prime for development. 55% of this city is undeveloped. So I really see this city developing over the next 20 years into a major city that complements some of the other geographic areas around here, the Galveston area, certainly Houston, and complementing some of the other cities that adjoin us. So I really think that League City is positioned right now to see some good growth, good economic growth that is going to be very unique to us.
And as the mayor mentioned earlier, water is the big issue here in League City, and there have been so many rumors about the water situation, and we've been on so many different levels of the drought contingency plan. Can you give us a little update about where we are with that situation?
Sure. Water is a major issue for this city. We get 21.5 million gallons a day as our total allotment, and we buy all of our water from either City of Houston or Gulf Coast Water Authority, with just a very small percentage of that water being made up from our own groundwater wells within the city. For us to be able to grow like this city will grow, we're going to have to secure more sustainable supply. That's going to involve both surface water, groundwater, and alternate sources of supply, which will include conservation and reuse water. And reuse obviously is the water that we're producing off of our wastewater treatment facilities. Both either in a way of using that water as irrigation for future development and irrigation of some of our large tracts of lands like parks and land like that, or possibly even looking at reusing that water as drinking water someday down the road.
And one of the things that I've been seeing a lot on blogs and on social media is that people are asking about desalination. Is that an option as well?
Desalination is certainly an option. The technology is there. It's expensive today to do, and mainly because of the energy costs that are involved. But certainly something that we are looking at, because being located close to the Gulf and having brackish water beneath us, it offers us some opportunity again to create another source of water that helps us become a whole lot more sustainable.
And Mayor, I know that I have dealt with lots of citizens online, especially, and through phone calls, who are a little frustrated with the irrigation hours and some of the processes that we've had to do to conserve. What do you say to those people?
Well, first off, when we get in a drought situation, the state of Texas and TCEQ makes mandates to allow cities to deal with drought situations, and all cities and water supply purveyors, so to speak, have to deal with certain rules. Once you get to 80% of your available water supply, in our case, as Rich mentioned, we get about 21.5 million gallons a day. So 80% of that is roughly a little bit under 17 million gallons a day. And back in mid-June and July, our peak demand was over 17 million. So the state says at that time you have to have an adopted drought contingency plan, which your city is able to do. Different cities have different plans. I know there's been a lot of it said about some of the other cities don't have the same restrictions we do, but they all have an adopted plan, and they all have to have that adopted plan by state mandate. We're a little bit different. We use a lot of water. It doesn't take a lot to trip us over that 80% mark. As Rich said earlier, the only way that we can prevent going to those mandatory restrictions is to go from 21. If we can get a good supply from Pasadena, say 10 million gallons a day, that brings us up to over 31 million gallons a day. So that brings us way under that 80% trip rate. So once that happens, we'll have a lot better control of the situation. But that's just one part of it about having the available water. But at the current stage is both the Trinity River and the Brazos River, are the two sources we get water from, are both at very low stages right now. So no matter what we do, it could be the state, if this drought continues, and there's some schools of thought out there that this drought might last till next summer or even longer, just as back in early August when we, TCEQ and Gulf Coast said that we're going to have to go to, prevent all outside watering. Now, we can get more water, just as I've been talking about, but if the state overall, the water's not there, then that's when the state's going to come in and say, you're going to have to go to mandatory restrictions. And if the drought doesn't, right now, you talked a little bit about desalination. Right now, rates through groundwater are probably, what, Rich, 50, 60 cents per 10,000 gallons. To the equivalent desal would cost you about $2
Per gallon.
per 10,000 gallons. So there's it's like 2 to 3 times that what you normally would do. The thing you have to do, you can't switch. We've had issues in the past where we had to address our main sewer issues, where we had to have some substantial increases in our water rates, but we can't, as a city, sustain triple to our residents that amount of water. So desalination won't be a primary source. It will be a subsidy source, and it will need other cities. I know Galveston and other cities are looking at this. For 25 million gallons a day, you're talking 100 to 150 million gallons a day. I mean, 25 million would just supply League City's long-term needs, but Galveston and all these other cities, you're talking if you did a community-wide or Galveston County-wide thing, you'd probably need to build it 50 to 7,500 million gallons, and you're talking probably $250 million, and we can't, as a city, ask our residents. But if we can get a certain percentage of that water at a higher rate and then mix it with the supply, we won't triple their rate, but that will be an option that has to be looked at. I mean, the drought, it's not looking very good right now long term. It's going to have to be a reality, and I would say in the next 5 years, somebody will have to do something with desal.